Hello and welcome to Student Success Seminar number 8, Creative and Critical Thinking. My name is Carla Fisher and I will be presenting the seminar to you today. If you need any further information, you can email us at studentsuccessservices@fullsail.com. When we think about creative and critical thinking, what I want to start out with is the understanding of the definitions of what these two things are. I want to start out with creativity because one of the things that I know about Full Sail and about the type of students that Full Sail has is creative people. And the three things that come to mind, and as you can see here on the slide, when you're creative, you have the ability, you have an attitude, and there's usually a process. When having an ability, basically what that means is everyone has the ability to be creative. And if you pay attention to children, you will see that children are very creative. And they don't question it, they just do it. They live it. They can take a box that is empty and make it into a spaceship. It's something that just occurs naturally. When I talk about an attitude is not necessarily a feeling like, oh, I'm feeling sad or depressed or happy, but it is an attitude. It's the understanding that you can do it. So when somebody says, oh, I'm so depressed and I'm going to sit and play my guitar, they don't question the ability to play the guitar. They have the attitude that they can do it. Again, children have the ability and have the attitude that they can do it. I've never heard a child, in all the times that I've worked with children, or even with my own, that they say, oh, I don't have the creative ability. They have it, and their attitude is they can do it. And then the last one is process, because I think sometimes as adults, we sit there and go, well, if I can't do it in one shot, it's not worth it, or I'm not creative enough. Guess what? It's a process. You have to sometimes continue to work on it in different ways to be able to get a finished product. Let's take, for example, Michelangelo with the Sistine Chapel. For those of you who have been there or lived there or have seen it in pictures, had it not been that he was willing to go through the process of getting up on scaffolds and to go ahead and paint details for a long period of time, months, years, to be able to create what is one of the world's most exquisite pieces of art. And he just said, no, I can't do it because it's going to be a process. It wouldn't have happened. He was willing to take that. He was willing to do it process by process, therefore creating the type of work that he created. Now, when talking about creativity, there are some negative attitudes that can block it. The first one is, oh no, a problem. And even kids can get to the place of saying, oh no, a problem. But in dealing with adults, and what I've seen is when they're having something creative that they're working on, they will go to the place of, there's a problem, I don't know what to do with it, I don't know how to take care of it, so therefore they stop. They might move on to something else. Sometimes, instead of seeing it as a problem, see it as an opportunity to go ahead and do something with it. Then, the other one is it can't be done. How many things that are out there in your industries or in other places that if somebody said, oh no, it can't be done, that it would not be around. Think about simple things like internet, things that we use called cell phones. All those type of stuff. If somebody had seen it as such, that's what would have been. And it wouldn't have happened. I can't do it. What that means is that you're saying you're not capable of doing it. You're not able to, and you're able to. Okay? Remember as a child, somewhere, somehow, said to you when you would say, I can't do it, somebody reminded you that you can. And sometimes you need to remind yourself now, you can do it. So when you're in that midst of having maybe some type of mental block about taking care of a project or taking care of something, remember this: you can do it. Keep yourself in that knowing that you can go ahead and produce what you want to produce and you want to take care of. Number 4, oh, but I'm not creative. Again, children, all children are creative. Everyone's creative. To what extent? That varies. Some people use it in art. Some people might use it in business. Some people might use it to be able to have a family and be able to nurture that family. There's all different ways. We're all creative. 5, that's childish. How many times have you been in a situation where somebody might criticize you or say, oh, that's silliness or that's childish or whatever, but you come up with some amazing things, some amazing work. And afterwards they're like, wow, I never would have thought of doing it that way. Or maybe you've encountered people who, have been childish, but the ideas that they have are incredible. Maybe they don't know how to implement it, but the creativity is there, and that's because they haven't lost sight of that childlike wonder. Okay. I always remember a movie that I saw recently, well, not so recently, called Mr. Majorium's Wonder Emporium. And I invite you, if you have not ever seen that movie, to see it, because it's really about getting in touch with that childlike quality and how important that is to continue to be alive and to be able to make things occur. Wonderful products, things that are creative. The last one on the list is, what will people think? Well, they're not doing it this way. I would look ridiculous doing it. No, rather look at, what? Maybe they aren't. Maybe they might think this. But you know what? I think this is a great idea, and I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. Trust that inner self in that way. If you're doing it for the right intentions, you will have the right product. You will have the right source that you're trying to get at. So block out what will people think. If you're with a good intent, good things will come of it. So as you can see here, ooh, there's a diagram. I want to talk about critical thinking, because critical thinking is pretty structured. There is, with creative, we're more flowing with it. Critical thinking, there's more of a structure to it. And as you can see, there's actually a pentagon-like structure. You first have to have some reasoning when being critical in your thinking. You have to be able to think. That's what separates us from most animal species, is the ability to reason, the ability to think on something. Then when thinking on something, the ability to evaluate it. Looking at something, evaluate maybe how effective it is or non-effective, how good it is, how it's not good, what you could have done differently, what you could have improved on, but evaluating it. When you do that and you start setting that up, you start coming up with solutions to what might be a problem. Now, it doesn't mean problematic. It just means something that you're having to take care of. Okay? So even simple task, like reasoning. Okay, so this can of peaches is not opening with this can opener. It's not working. What could I do? And you start evaluating it. And I know that seems like a really ridiculous example, but what I'm saying is, even to a simple level of that, then you find a way to problem solve, take care of it. Okay, so this can opener is an opening. Let me go ahead and see about borrowing my neighbor's electric one. So once you've made that decision, you go ahead and you take care of it and you do something about it. Now, afterwards, you might sit and analyze and go, maybe I should go ahead and buy that type of can opener because it really is effective. It really worked. I didn't have to put a lot of muscle power into it or whatever. Again, silly example, but we use the ability to critically think throughout our day. I want to stop for a minute and actually I'll be doing this throughout the seminar, but I want to give you some understanding of some riddles. Because to me, riddles are a great way to have to do some problem solving, to be creative also, to be able to just have the ability to think sort of sometimes outside the box. And they won't be long, and I'll give you the answer pretty instantly. The first one is, what is black when you buy it, red when you use it, and gray when you throw it away? Anybody have the answer yet? Again, what is black when you buy it, red when you use it, and gray when you throw it away? Ready? It would be charcoal. Yep, that's simple. Or maybe you already knew that. Maybe you're actually grilling at this very moment. Okay, the next one is, what are characteristics of critical thinking? So we talked about with creative, we didn't have to necessarily do a lot of, ooh, you have to think about it. Kids can take a piece of paper and crayons and be really creative, so they're not even in the thought process. But with critical thinkers, there's something very unique and different, and that is the three things that would identify somebody who is critical in their thinking. Is they're logical, they're conscious, and they're purposeful. When they're logical, what it's saying is that they can go ahead and see something and really think through it. So it's that reasoning portion of it. You also have to have a consciousness. When you're dreaming, you're sometimes being very creative. You're flying, you're able to swim like a torpedo, things that are really creative. When you are being critical in your thinking, it's you're being very conscious about what it is in the thought process. And then lastly, you have to have a purpose to your thinking. It's not like those random, sort of like your mind's drifting, but you're being purposeful in what you are trying to accomplish with that thought process. It's almost like problem solving, That's why sometimes it's said that for people who are older and might not have a lot of time or energy to go ahead and talk to other people, engage in conversation, that sometimes doing crossword puzzles keeps them with this ability to be critical in their thinking, which is sometimes vital for their health. So again, being aware that critical thinking is a component of three different things: logical, consciousness, and purposefulness. So where does critical and creative thinking overlap? So as you can see in the blue area, critical thinking is logical, it's analytical. This is where you're reasoning. This is where you analyze, you check things out. You might even have a checkbox, things like that. Creative, obviously we think of inventive, original. You've got, different dynamics going on with that. You have your ideas formulating in very different and unique ways, okay? The way those can merge is by a way called self-reflectiveness, okay? Your ability to be conscious. Again, we talked about that already with critical, but the way those can merge is you're going to be in that consciousness of what you're doing. You're going to therefore then be purposeful in the conducting of that thought. But the most important thing that I can see is you're focused. And you've seen this or you've experienced it where you are focused on what you are doing and how you are accomplishing or taking care of a task or thinking about how you're going to take care of it. You're very thoughtful. And there's those of you who are listening who that's how you resonate. I know in my household, I would be considered more of the creative one. Original, inventive, think about different things. My husband would be the one who would say, okay, before we do this, we need to think A, B, and C. And I appreciate that about him most of the time. because it helps me be able then to stay focused. Because if not, I'd be all over the place. He helps me have a centering. Okay? All right, I'm going to give you another riddle. You ready? A woman shoots her husband. Oh no! Then she holds him under the water for over 5 minutes. Finally, she hangs him. But 5 minutes later, they both go out together and enjoy a wonderful dinner together. Let me go ahead and repeat it. A woman shoots her husband. Then she holds him under the water for over 5 minutes. Finally, she hangs him. But 5 minutes later, they both go out together and enjoy a wonderful evening together. How can this be? Ready for the answer? She is a photographer using old-fashioned film. Some of you still might use it. I know, some of you are saying it's a groaner, but it's a clever riddle. And I use it here on campus and people enjoy it. Creative thinkers ask what-if questions. But I'll tell you the truth is, creative and critical thinkers do what-if questions. Okay? More so with creative thinkers because they frequently are what-ifs, thinking outside the box, creating something more there. Okay? And it's a great technique, and I offer you to go ahead and implement it, maybe, just for one situation. But here I'm talking about it in the sense of your studies, of what it is when you are a student here. So as it states here, what if you could fight your distractions and control your concentration? Wow, what if you did that? What could you accomplish? What could you do? What if you could design your own study system? Wow, it would make you a so much better student, but then you'd be able to offer it to other online students. And they might be able to really benefit from that. Plus, you get some nice money coming in, but that's a separate issue. What if you could avoid procrastination? God, that would make my life so much easier. I'd actually be able to take care of what I need to. I'd stay focused. I'd get things accomplished. You can do the what-if type of questions in many different arenas, and I invite you to go ahead and do it because creating a what-if type of situation allows yourself to open up to possibilities. One of the things that I do with my 2 children at home is I have been teaching them since they were very little that if there's a problem, there's a solution, and what if we did it this way? What if and had them think about it. They're not always happy with mom when she does it, but I will tell you that it's been helpful for them in being able to problem solve. And I think one of the most important things as a parent I can do is help my children be able to figure out on their own how to take care of things. So, how do you get your brain working? Well, as you can see here, there's different ideas, and I'm sure you can come up with many more. One of the first ones is we lose sight of being able to use our brains when we stop being curious. Stay curious. Doesn't matter what age you are. Ask questions. Go somewhere. Watch people. Think of things. Do what ifs. But, be curious. The wonderful thing about the type of education you're getting online is you can immediately go and Google something and come up with some type of interesting answer or whatever, and that's just purely your curiosity. My kids are always asking questions, and I remember as a kid when I did that, my mom would say, oh, go look in the encyclopedia. So I'm kind of dating myself there. Now I can just say, okay, let's look it up online. My daughter and I have researched how to make our own facial lotions, how to make chapstick. And it's just because she was curious and I said, let's go and find out. Challenge yourself. It's not always what we want to do, and sometimes it comes from outside sources. But I will tell you that challenging yourself, even in small things, go a different route to go back to your home after you've been at work. Challenge yourself that it's okay that you're not doing your normal route, and that you might get, if you're not really good at, centering yourself as to where you are at, you might get a little bit lost. But again, it's not taking you quite to the place and verge of being in a dangerous situation, but you're allowing yourself to be challenged. You're changing things up. Stop being critical of yourself. Stop judging yourself. It's so important when you have an idea. Again, if you are centered in it being positive and true and good in whatever aspect, and you continue to have the judgment call, guess what? It's not going to come to fruition. Allow yourself to put that aside and go with it. Network with people. Now you're going to say, wow, I'm online. It's kind of hard. Yeah, it might be challenging. But one of the things I appreciate about Full Sail, and especially on their online programs, is they really try to make it so it's interactive for you guys. But not only that, some of you are working, some of you have families. Start being connected in that way. Talk to people. Find out their stories. Find out what they do. Collaborate together on something. It's amazing how you will learn and grow and really get to thinking. Try something new every day. So, you know what? You go to the supermarket and you see this really interesting fruit called the star fruit. Maybe for some of you, you've never heard of it. Maybe you eat it all the time. But it looks like a star. Look it up on Google. It's there. So you go ahead and you decide, you know what? I'm going to buy it just for the heck of it. I don't know how to eat it. I'll look up online, but I'll go ahead and buy it. You might not like it. You might find it's really bitter or too sweet or whatever. But you know what? You've tried something different. Be observant of the world. One of the most amazing minds in the world was Albert Einstein. And guess what that man did? He was observant of people. He watched people. He would take walks. In the process of thinking, when he felt like he needed to just take a break, he would go for walks and he would watch people. He would talk to people. So he was doing networking. He was observing the world. He was taking it all in. That is a definite way to keep you fresh and keep your brain working. Then record your observations. It's great to have something that comes to you when you're observing the world, but then, oops, you forget it 2 minutes later, an hour later, a day later, because you haven't had a way to record it. The great thing about technology, guys, and you know it much better than I, because I still have an old-fashioned phone, you got probably your smartphone, so you can do it right there. Or some of you still carry your little notebook in your back pocket and pull it out, write your notes. Believe in yourself. Again, kids do not question their ability to think. They just do it. So believe in yourself. Believe that you can think. Believe that you have the abilities. Take care of yourself. Now, I know you're Full Sail students. Taking care of yourself is a little challenging right now. That's okay. When you take moments, when you take a day, when you take an hour to do something that is good for you, like eating, remember to do that, that is helping you be able to have brain power. Before I started the seminar, one of the things I did is because I was feeling hungry, I had a snack. Because if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been able to think clearly. I wouldn't have been able to convey the information that I'm giving you now. Take time to relax. One of the things that has been shown over and over again is that in order sometimes to really be able to think and process and give really good brain power, is to take time to just chill and relax. So that might mean a really casual walk. That might mean sitting with your partner and talking about the day or whatever and having a glass of wine. That might be reading a book. That might be doing something that causes you to feel at ease. Find a way to relax, even if you can't do it for more than just 15. Yes, even meditation would be good. Alexander Bloom and his amazing taxonomy model. Now, what is taxonomy, you ask? The practice and science study of the classification of things or concepts, including the principles that underlie such classification. Okay, so basically in a nutshell, here it is. It's pyramid. And he came up with this because he felt like it was important to understand how it is that we learn. And in order to learn, we have to have thinking. And how he did it was he went ahead and he created this pyramid. And it starts with a very ground basic one of knowledge. The verbs of that would be learning how to match, to name, to outline, to recall. So when you were a kid, before you were able to do spelling, you had to learn the alphabet. So you maybe had to sing it, and I won't sing it for you now. You maybe had to be able to label it, point at it, define it, say, oh, that's an A, that's a B. Same thing with colors. Okay. From there, you were able to comprehend it. You were able then to discuss it. Now, obviously, you were able then to interpret. Oh, D-O-G, that means dog. You might not be, as a kid, going through that whole process, but that's what's going on, is you're able to comprehend that when you put those three letters together, you get a word, and that word is dog. You're able to apply it. Oh, so I can write out the dog went for a walk. Oh, okay, you're able to use it. Now, I know some of that seems silly, and I'll get to another example in a minute. But then you're able to then analyze it. Obviously, you might not do this as a real young person, but think about it. When you're learning to write, you start also learning where to put a quotation mark, exclamation point, where to use a verb, a noun, and things like that. And then you're able to look at the way that you might be coming up with these words together. Then from there, there's synthesis. The ability to create, to develop, to generalize, to integrate. Now, I've said all those, and obviously you're reading it. But what that means is, so when you're writing, you might start coming up with a great story. You're able to develop it and have it be something. It's not just a bunch of words or letters roaming around on a page. They're actually symbolic and meaningful. Then the last one is evaluation. This is where you're willing and able, let's say you've written something, to go ahead and look at it, analyze it, and then take it apart if need be. Understand it. See how you could have done it differently. I was talking to a student, and they had the analogy of the thing with Greek mythology. You learn Greek mythology. You learn who Zeus is and who Poseidon is. Well, guess what? Then you start comprehending it, and you might be able then to apply it. And the way that the student brought it up to me was you can apply it in the way that they said that apparently at Universal here in Florida, there is a ride called the Poseidon Adventure. At least I'm hoping that I remember it correctly. And they were able then to be able to read on the wall, because they had understood about mythology, what the story entailed. Okay. And then they were able to maybe go ahead and think on it more. And then they'd go home and they went and played a role-playing game called God of War. And apparently there's a god named Kratos. I might be mispronouncing it. But they were able to get the information that they had learned in the knowledge section of Greek mythology and implement it to understand the maneuvers that they had to do in the game. And as they did that, they were able then to evaluate, oh, maybe that time I shouldn't have bothered, Zeus, because this is what would happen. And I remember that from Greek mythology. So it's important to do those processes. All right, here's another riddle. Can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? Again, can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Some of you got it already? Today, tomorrow, and yesterday. I know. Hey, I'm trying, guys. Hope you are too. With Bloom's level of thinking, this is how it can help you. What it basically narrows it down to is this: when you do that type of thinking, you can therefore ask more meaningful questions. And I say in class because, well, what are you doing right now? You're in a university setting and you're having to implement the ability to think. So with that understanding of, okay, so I'm getting the basic knowledge, I'm going to go to the next level, and obviously you can see these slides at any time and really take a look at how your learning happens. But when you do that, you'll be able to have a deeper and more enriching experience with the knowledge that your teachers are giving you. You can then also, as it says here, you can sometimes anticipate the type of questions that you'll be asked. You'll be able then to look at some of the things that you've done and to correct them or to do it better, because you're able to look at it from a ground level. Thank you guys so much for being with me today and listening to the seminar number 8 on creative and critical thinking. Obviously, in things like this, we could spend hours talking about creative and critical thinking. I just wanted to give you sort of an overview of what it is. The great thing about, again, online world and how you study is you can go ahead and research more, find out, what are good books to be looking for to help you be more creative and critical. There is a author, if I can remember, called Michael Miklikov. I believe I might be mispronouncing. One of the books that he has is called Cracking Creativity. There's another book out there called Rewiring Your Brain. So learning how to be able to wire your brain so that you can think better. There's so many resources out there, and I want you to go ahead and plug into those, because that will help you be able to be more creative and more critical in how you think. Be well. Bye-bye.